confusing for myself.
I know. Well, wait. How about I do the you do the first one, because yours is super
No.
You'll be excited. And then I do the second one. And third, and then you end it.
Okay,
Does that sound okay?
y'all Hashoah is going to be on launch. Full name is Y'all Hashoah.
Okay. Kind of, you can just say no one knows. We call it
Okay.
Okay. So you're number one, I'll do 2 and 3, and then you end it. You bring us home.
Okay, so
Yeah.
okay.
Okay?
Hashoah. Y'all Hashoah.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm just unique.
There we go. We're going to begin our program. Please rise for O Canada and Hatikva. You may be seated.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Marazzi, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Director of the Vancouver Holocaust Education Center. On behalf of our entire team, thank you for being here tonight, for taking the time to show up, to remember, and to bear witness. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional unceded lands of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We are grateful to be here and to work alongside the indigenous peoples of this land in our shared effort for justice and reconciliation. Yom Hashoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, is a time of solemn reflection and communal responsibility. A moment to turn our hearts towards the 6 million Jewish children, women, and men who were murdered in the Holocaust. People who had names, voices, families, and dreams. People who loved and were loved. We also honor the survivors this evening, those who endured unimaginable suffering and yet found the strength to go on. Many rebuilt their lives here in Canada. Their resilience, wisdom, and testimony have shaped not only this community, but the city of Vancouver, and continues to shape the work that we undertake at the Vancouver Holocaust Education Centre. This year marks the 83rd anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, a symbol, a moment in history of defiance in the face of annihilation. We remember the young Jewish fighters who rose up against the Nazis and whose courage continues to inspire us to stand against oppression. Over the past year in this role, I have been privileged to hold closely to the history of this community, the history it carries and the responsibility it takes so seriously to carry it forward. Our team remains committed to our mission and to preserve Holocaust memory and to use its lessons to confront anti-Semitism and racism. The center exists because memory needs guardians. I like to say that memory work is holy work, because the dignity of those who are no longer with us and their sacred memory compel us to educate, to speak out, and to act. In the face of rising anti-Semitism, Holocaust distortion, and denial, we are reminded that remembrance is not a passive state of being. It is an active moral choice, a daily commitment, an act of resistance. We are grateful tonight to be accompanied by Rabbi Moskowitz, whose spiritual leadership helps to hold this space with care. He will offer remarks following mine, and I would like to take a moment to thank the Mayor of Vancouver and the U.S. Consul General for joining us for such a special occasion. We are also honored to welcome our keynote speaker tonight, Malka, who is dear to me and will be in conversation with her daughter, Ina, and introduced by her granddaughter, Sophie. I want to offer as well a special welcome to those watching from home. We are carrying you with us in our hearts. I do want to make a quick note that we ask you to refrain from applause during the proceedings tonight. We are proud to present this evening's program in partnership with the Jewish Community Center and Temple Sholom. As we gather this evening to reaffirm our collective responsibility to remember, to educate, and to act, in a time when hatred persists, remembrance is urgent, I am reminded that to stop and remember is a holy act, an act of dignity, an act of love, an act of hope. So I want to thank you for being part of this act of remembrance, this moment of remembrance. May the memory of those who are no longer with us be a blessing, and may we live in such a way that honors the lives lost. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Erev Tov and good evening. I want to begin by welcoming all of you to Temple Sholom on this sacred night of remembrance. We are deeply honored to host this important community gathering and to be joined by children of survivors, by community leaders, by friends from across the Jewish and broader community. Your presence here matters. It is an act of memory, of bearing witness, and for our non-Jewish friends, in these challenging and frightening times to be a Jew in Canada, it is an act of allyship, your being here, that we are deeply grateful for and will never forget. It shouldn't be hard or controversial to show up with survivors and children of survivors to memorialize the systematic slaughter and attempted genocide of the Jewish people. But some choose to stay away and did not want to be here this year. And that means more to us that you are here than I have words to express. So thank you. This evening is not only about looking back, it's about protecting the truth of what we remember. Because memory, if we are not careful, can be distorted. We live in a time when the language of the Holocaust is being used in ways that empty it of meaning. Words like genocide are invoked casually, detached from their historical grounding. Comparisons are made that collapse moral distractions rather than clarify them. And perhaps most painfully, there are those who invert the Holocaust itself, portraying Jews not as its victims, but as its perpetrators. This is not just inaccurate, it is dangerous. The Holocaust was not a metaphor. It was not a slogan. It was the systematic, industrialized attempt to annihilate the Jewish people. 6 million Jews were murdered. Families were erased. Entire communities were destroyed. That reality demands precision, honesty, and reverence. And when that truth is blurred, something else is lost as well. Empathy is lost. Understanding is lost. And the moral clarity that the Holocaust calls us to carry into the world begins to fade. There is a temptation in our time to measure anti-Semitism against the Holocaust and to say that if it's not death camps and gas chambers, then it's not so serious. But hatred rarely begins at its most extreme. It begins with words, with distortions, with the erosion of truth. And so tonight, as we remember, we also recommit. We recommit to telling the story as it was. We recommit to listening to those who carry that memory in their very lives. We recommit to ensuring that the next generation inherits not confusion, but clarity. A healthy society depends on its ability to distinguish truth from falsehood, to resist the pull of easy narratives, to honor memory without manipulating it. And yet, if we stop there, we've only told part of the story. Jewish memory has never been only about what was lost. It has also been about what was rebuilt. Here in Canada, that rebuilding is not abstract. It is the very community that we are part of here tonight. Survivors came to this country with little more than what they could carry, and they built institutions that still sustain us. They helped establish synagogues and schools and community centers and social services. They strengthened Jewish life in cities like Vancouver, all across this country, and ensured that Judaism would not only survive, but flourish. Many of them did this quietly, without fanfare, carrying with them unimaginable loss, and at the same time, choosing to build a future. And that, too, is part of what we remember tonight as well. Not instead of the suffering, not in place of the grief, but alongside it. To remember the Holocaust truthfully is to remember and bear witness that the Jewish people did not disappear, that Jewish life did not end, that even in the shadow of destruction, there remained a fierce commitment to faith, to life, to hope. The children, the grandchildren, and the great-grandchildren of survivors here tonight are the living embodiment of that covenant with the 6 million murdered. Am Yisrael Chai is not a slogan of triumph. It is a stubborn declaration of existence, a refusal to let those who sought our destruction have the final word. The survivors taught us that remembering is a responsibility, and now that responsibility is ours. May this evening deepen our commitment to truth. May it strengthen our resolve to stand against distortion and hatred in all its forms. And may the memory of those who we honor here tonight always be a blessing and a call to conscience. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. It is now my great honor to introduce the candle lighting ceremony. We light candles in memory of the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust, including 1.5 million children, as well as the millions of others who were persecuted and killed. These candles represent lives stolen and families destroyed. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles, cousins, husbands, wives, and children, murdered by the Nazis and their collaborators. As we bear witness through this act of remembrance, let us remember and reaffirm our commitment to memory, our commitment to education, and to standing against hatred in all of its forms. Let us vow never to forget. Amen.
We are honored to have Cantor Yaakov Orzak to chant the El Malay prayer.
המשימנו חונכנו על כנפי השכינה ומעלויס קדושים וטהורים כזויה הרקיע מזהירים es nishmois hakedoshim yatehorim shehumtu v'sheneherigu v'shenishchatu v'shenisrefu v'shenitbeyu v'shenecheniku al kiddush Hashem al yedei atzorim hagimonim yimach shemon v'zichron Began Eden Temenu Chosam Lachein Balo Rachamim Yasirein Vesese Kenafav Le'yoelamim V'yitzroy V'yitzroy Rachayim Es Nishmoiseyem Adonai Hu Nachalosom V'yonuchu B'shalom Al Mishke Voisem V'noyemar
Written in 1938 by two Soviet Jewish composers, Mikhail Isakovsky and Matvey Blanter. Katyusha, Katie, is the song of a young woman whose Red Army soldier sweetheart is off to the distant Siberian frontier to encounter the ever-growing Japanese threat along the border with China and Manchuria. It became popular during the pre-war years, but with the Nazi invasion of the USSR, it took on added significance. Just as the German soldiers in World War I nicknamed their huge cannons Big Bertha in honor of Bertha Krupp, daughter of the arms manufacturer, Red Army troops affectionately called their devastating rockets Katyushas. Apple trees and pear trees were aflower. River mist was rising all around. Выходила на берег Катюша, на
Katiuszas бережет.
מגיע ארצה רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו ואינם. There are stars whose light arrives on earth only when the stars have lived their lives, then have gone. יש אנשים שזיו זכרם מאיר כאשר הם עצמם אינם אור בתוכנו. There are souls who turn into light, a light that remains when they are no longer with us. Orot Teile, Hamarikim בחשכת הליל. They become light, they become light, a light to guide our way. יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו ואינם. הם שמרים לאדם את הדרך, הם שמרים לאדם את הדרך, הם שמרים לאדם את
Just a quick note to let you know that you can find out more information about all the pieces in our musical program in the digital program. There should be a QR link somewhere.
Auf der Wand links von mein Bett hängt mein Tochter Chiffrelles Porträt. ich weiß, es ist dir bang. Es wird der Krieg schein nicht gedauern lang. Kommen will ich bald zu dir, es glaubt der Frühling scheinen Tier. Es glaubt der Frühling scheinen Tier. Tadisch ich weiß, tadisch ich weiß, tadisch schmeichelt lieb, lieb zu mir und rett. Chiffreles Porträt, chiffreles Porträt.
Remember the family we once had, a mother and a dad. We remember a daughter and a son, and how we loved each one. We remember the friends and family that we will never see. We remember the past and history of how we used to be. We remember we came here to make a new start. Hope in my heart. Remember counting blessings each passing day. We found our way. Remember as you watch your children play, to cherish them each day. And remember to teach and let them know what happened long ago. And counting blessings each passing day. We found our way. Remember as we gather here today. Remember them and pray. And remember
This picture inspired me to show and to tell my story because people like to see and to read, and it helps better to understand. So this is my way of talking to people and presenting my story to the entire world. I understood what a war was, not like adults maybe, but I could see the worries of the adult people, the screams, the fears. So it goes to the children. Even if they don't understand perfect, they feel something. So I understood, yes. My name is Malka. I was born January 31st, 1931, in a shtetl in Ukraine. I was growing up without a father. He left me before I came to this world. My mother seemingly nursed me 1 year, and then she was working in the neighboring towns, coming occasionally to see the family and myself. The war started, and the Nazis entered our shtetl very fast. But before the Nazis would come to the shtetl, it was a very strong bombardment.
In August 1941, all the Jewish people in Romanov were rounded up and most of the men were massacred. Women with children, including Malka's great-aunt Gittel, were sent back to the ghetto. When Gittel found out a second massacre was being planned, she, Malka, and Malka's mother Brindle fled to a nearby village to hide. They were betrayed, and Gittel was killed.
I was hiding my mother in places known to me only. Never I would tell anyone that my mother is in a haystack or in a trench in the field of standing grain. No, I knew.
After hiding in cattle sheds, fields, and forests, Malka and her mother eventually found refuge with Lydia Kononchuk, a young mother.
I came to Lydia's home. She was in the garden. I introduced myself. I said who I am, that I have a mother hidden, and I asked for a piece of bread, and she said, "My child, I'm starving. My home is so empty. It's like a crystal ball, nothing in it." So I understood, and I saw that she understands me. So I said, "Maybe you can give your attic to my mother. I will bring pieces of bread and we will share with you." And she said, "Okay, bring your mother."
Malka and her mother survived in hiding with Lydia, and later with 19-year-old orphan Nina Makarchuk, until the Soviet Red Army arrived and liberated the area.
The war took away from me all my relatives living in Romanov. This is my family. Approximately 42 people perished, amongst them 12 children. I was robbed, I'm saying. I was left alone. And now, in my old age, it's very difficult to cope with this, harder than when I was young. I could have so many relatives around me, and I don't have, because my old cousins are taken from me brutally. So, but my life has meaning. I wasn't sitting just and crying. I was mobilized. I helped in schools children that couldn't be by themselves in this force to study. I was giving. Other teachers would just charge money, never a penny. So I did a lot, yes. And I'm very proud and it makes me happy.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight to commemorate Yom Hashoah, a time to remember, to reflect, and to ensure that the stories of the Holocaust survivors are never forgotten. It is incredibly meaningful for me to stand here and introduce Malka Pishanitskaya, who was born in Ukraine, which was then a part of the former Soviet Union. She was 10 years old when the war started and Nazis invaded Ukraine. To me, she is not only a survivor, she is my grandmother. She is strong, resilient, kind, and more than a tad feisty. Growing up, I had the privilege of knowing her, not just through her history, but through everyday moments, through her presence, her stories, and the lessons she shared, and through the life she worked so hard to rebuild for her family after everything she endured. One of the most important lessons she has taught me is that kindness is not something small. It is something that makes the world stronger, even after unimaginable darkness. As a granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor, there's a deep sense of responsibility that comes with carrying forward her story. It is about remembering not only the unimaginable loss, but also the resilience, perseverance, and humanity that followed. My grandmother's life is a testament to survival, but also to rebuilding, to choosing hope, family, and love. For many years, however, these stories were not spoken about. As my grandmother has shared, quote, in the 1950s and 60s, no one talked about the horrors of the Holocaust. No one spoke about their experiences or their feelings, all the losses and sadness that Holocaust survivors live with every day, end quote. Even when she came to Canada, that silence continued. In her words, I arrived in Vancouver in 1975, and still nobody spoke about the war. Nobody understood us, and nobody sympathized. Nobody could have imagined what it was like to survive the unimaginable. She goes on to say, in the late 1990s, I had the good fortune to participate in the Gesher Project, bridging Holocaust trauma, healing, and hope, a project for Holocaust survivors presented by the Vancouver Holocaust Education Center to explore the impact of the Holocaust on our lives. I was paired to work with Vancouver artist Linda Diane Frimmer. Wanting to honor my relatives who perished, I added their pictures onto a background made by Linda. We added pieces of writing that described life during the war and one of the mass graves in Romanov. It became clear to me that the best way to give testimony is to show the suffering, the horrors, and the annihilation of Jews at the hands of the Nazis through paintings. The Gesher Project helped me to begin this process. For me, as a third-generation descendant, being here tonight, surrounded by community, reminds me how important it is that we continue to listen, to learn, and to share these stories. This is why we are here today, to talk about it, to honor those who lived through it, and to make sure this is never forgotten, not only as history, but as living memory that we carry with us and continue to pass on to future generations. It is a true honor to introduce my grandmother this evening, who recently celebrated her 95th birthday. There will be discussion led by Ellie Lawson, VHEC's education manager, with my grandmother and my mom, Ina.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Sophie, so much for that meaningful introduction to this section of the program. I'm so honored. This is my second year in a row doing this, being able to be here with a Holocaust survivor to ask questions and to commemorate Yom HaShoah. Malka, I guess I want to start with the first question. We have paintings all around from the artwork that you commissioned about your story, but there's one in particular behind us that's called The First Mass Execution. That happened in August of 1941, and I would love if you could just talk about what you saw and what you heard on that day. What was it like to be there?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming and listening. The war broke out very fast, and everyone was very surprised because no one was thinking or feeling something that, might happen. So we tried to leave Romanov, but I was seasick, so we left, and very soon Nazis came, and Jewish life was completely finished. Right away on public places, on the doors, were writings prohibited the entry to dogs and Jews. So we knew, without any commentaries or explanations, that our future is not in our hands, that something bad is going to happen, but not what had happened. We didn't think that extermination is number one on the plan of the Nazis' behavior. So a month passed by, and early morning, the police, Ukrainian police, came to our door and heavily knocked on, "Get out to the center of the town." Nothing else, no extra words except this. And we didn't know what is ahead, awaiting us. So we got out right away, 15 minutes, and we are in the center. When we came out, we saw crowds of people coming from all four directions. And when we looked ahead of the way, we saw marching far, far away the people of Romanov. So, yes, we were driven to the park, a beautiful place before the war, and there was a building built before the Soviet Union by the we were all pushed into. Men right away were put in formations and driven away, not far from the place we were all placed. And right away, machine guns, non-stop machine guns started to work, and the screams of men were just horrible. When we still didn't hear shootings and screams of men, we didn't know what is really going to happen. When women hear their men screaming, their sons being killed, brothers, such a chaos began in the room that everything was shaken. I was so scared, running to the big window and holding hands, you can see here in the picture, wanting to break the glass and just throw myself out. I was also getting not normal because it was a horrible situation. So the killing of men was going on almost till the evening because everyone was ordered to get undressed, first to take out valuables from the pockets, because people maybe were thinking they will be taken to the West or you know, usually people start to take something. And Nazis and Russian and Ukrainian, Russian, Polish police, those local people were mostly killing us and doing different things. So they understood that they will not kill the whole population of the town Romanov. We were approximately between 2,000 and 3,000 people. So until they finished the killings with men, because it's not only killing, but to take out the possessions, to undress, to, you know, different stuff. So it took time. And the evening was approaching, so they understood, and 2 only pits were dug prior to this day, and 2 pits weren't enough for killing the whole shtetl. And then the time also, the evening approached, so there were reasons for letting mothers with children go home. They meant they will kill another day, a month later, and it really took place a month later from the first to the second mass execution. The second mass execution was primarily for women with children. And for women, I would say, because the first massacre couldn't finish all people like women and men together. But so I survived that first mass and the second, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I mean, you have such vivid memories of the past.
I can see. Yeah. I not only remember everything. I remember my crib when I was maybe younger than 2 years. I remember when my grandmother was sleeping on one bed, my great aunt on the other, next to each other. Everything. I'm surprised. Yeah.
Well, the second painting we have up here on the stage is titled, I Was a Mother to My Mother, which is also the title of your memoir, which everyone can grab a free copy on the way out.
Yeah.
But that's such an interesting part of your survival story, is that you took on that role. So could you tell us about what that meant to you and how you were a mother to your mother?
Yeah. Though I was very young, 10 years only, and 10 years might not understand everything more than, the age allows you. But my mother was very important because it's a mother. We believe in God. God is above us, and the mother is the person, one number on the earth, Mother Earth. So my mother was very important to me, and I was not trusting anyone to see my mother or to hear how she talks. She knew Ukrainian. She was speaking very well, but with a Jewish accent. When I went to the school, spoke only Yiddish. And I'm very surprised even today that my very religious Jewish family gave me not to the Jewish school. There was a Jewish school before the war and a Ukrainian school, but they gave me to the Ukrainian school. I came to the school the first day, like everyone else of the children, and I was not knowing any word, not even one Ukrainian. And I was sitting, I had to. But very soon, I started to pick up, very soon. I'm surprised today too, how come that I was so taking it easy. And I understand, and I'm grateful so much, and understand my family, that they did the right thing by giving me to the Ukrainian school, because my destiny was not known to me. How would I know that I will use it with such great need that I will be in the future.
In hiding.
In hiding, yes, because as I said, I wouldn't trust my mother to go from door to door and ask for a piece of bread. She was able to talk, as I mentioned, but with an accent, so I didn't want. I was afraid I might lose my mother. So I would place my mother in the field in a haystack, taking out straw or hay, and my mother would go inside and decorate it, and I would go for the day to a village, starting from the beginning of the village, from number 1 house, and telling everyone that I'm a surviving Jewish girl, and I have a mother hidden, so I'm asking for a piece of bread. And number 1 for me, this piece of bread is going to my mother, because it's so important to have my mother alive. And for the reasons that I would talk to my mother in Yiddish, because I have grown out only in Yiddish. As I mentioned, that I didn't know anything when I came to the school. But even today, I think about my relatives, my mother, grandmother, and my mother too. Everyone was participating in giving me to the Ukrainian school, which helped me enormously. And I'm grateful to the higher powers for doing so much. So I'm able to sit in front of people and tell the story, very sad story, because I lost almost 40 or more relatives, 12 children. My mother had only 1 brother, and the brother had 4 children younger than myself. I was 10, but their child was maybe 7, the oldest, and going down. So all of them, 4 children, my aunt-in-law, and her 2 children, 2 sisters were killed in her 1-room apartment. This is how we found out from people that were left for a while to serve Nazis, like shoemakers, like dentist was left, like, you know. So when they survived, some of them, not everyone who was left to serve the Nazis survived. They also perished, but some of them knew that they will be perished, so they ran away to the forest, and this is how we knew what was going on from those who survived. Not many people survived. Yeah.
Well, for 4 years, you and your mother were hiding throughout rural Ukraine. You mentioned hiding your mother in haystacks. You were in cattle farms and barns. But there's a couple rescuers that are really important to your story. But there's one in particular you stayed with for almost a year, which is Lydia Kadunchuk.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you could tell us when and where you met Lydia and what she was like.
Yeah. Between the one village and the second, there were fields of grain. So I went to the middle of the grain field and found a place where we dug a trench, and my mother was collecting soil, dirt, making a pillow for her, and on the other side, Wally parking like, so this is what she did. And we lay down in a trench because the grain was not very high. So we were very afraid to get up. No one would see us because this was close to the road, and though no cars passing by, but horses and people walk. So we stayed in this field quite for a while, a few months. So when I finished going from door to door begging for a piece of bread. The first village, Jasnograd. Then I said to myself, go to the next village, try your luck. So I went to another village, a small one, Monasterok. This is where I met Lydia Kononchuk. And I started from number 1 house, going up. And it was, as I mentioned, a very small village, 1 street. So I came to Lydia's home approximately number 9 from the street where I started. And I said, I was telling everyone, I am a Jewish girl, surviving girl, and I have a mother hidden. So I'm please asking for a piece of bread. We wouldn't die of hunger. And to everyone I said the same. When I came to Lydia, she was working in the garden, and I introduced and I said, I'm asking for something to eat. And she said, my child, my home is so empty from food. It's like a crystal vase, nothing to give you. So I thought to myself, oh, if she is starving, if she is suffering, so she can understand me. So I said, maybe you can give a place to hide my mother in your attic, and I will get out in the morning and go do my rounds and bring bread, and we will share like a family. And she liked it, and she said, oh, okay. Then I said, you know what? I'm not bringing my mother now. I will bring my mother in the evening when it will be dark, because you have neighbors and they might see, so we have to be very careful. She understood me, and I did what I promised to do. So we stayed in Lydia's home approximately a year and a half. And I was running in that village every day. And people, Muska, my name was Musa, and in the village they make it a little bit higher sounding, Muska. So every day they would see me. I made a mistake. I understood later, because of my age, of course, that I shouldn't have been seen every day. I should have gone to villages farther down, as I understood that I have to leave in the morning and come in the evening, so less eyes would see me and less danger involved would be in all this. But well, so when once Lydia had a daughter, 18 years old, and the daughter was working as a housemaid in the Shtetl Romanov, in the houses of wealthy people. Seldom she was coming home, and my mother was very scared of the light. She liked to be in darkness, and I didn't understand, and I was always schlepping out my mother from the darkness to the light and said, you can stay in the attic. So she stayed in the attic, and she put into the Господи, из соломы сделаны эти. Дах. Боже ты мой. My mother put into the straw in the attic where she was in darkness, something like, to open a little bit that straw and to look out and to let in a little bit of light into the attic where she was constantly staying because she was afraid of the light. So this is how we spent 1 year and a half in Lydia's. And then when Lydia's daughter was not home, and then Nazis came from Romanov, and the manager of the village was taking the Nazis from house to house to take to Germany young people for labor. They knew on the list that Lydia has a daughter that can be taken to Germany. But the daughter was in Romanov, working every day, coming, sometimes only. A Nazi or two Nazis came with the manager of the village to ask for the girl to be taken. But the girl wasn't in the house. And we stayed, instead of the attic, in the room under the wooden bed, Lydia's, farther a bit. When you come in, you don't see people. But we were so shaken, because if the daughter is not in, they might search, who knows, we don't know. The moment the Nazis came in, the daughter appeared on the porch.
Yeah.
She came to see her mother and to help a little bit. Once a month she was coming to help, to paint the house, outside, inside, or whatever. What a great luck, because otherwise they may have searched, we don't know, and then if they would found us, they would burn the house and maybe the village. We don't know. Great luck. So we stayed with Lydia, but we had to leave because it became known to the village that she is hiding Jews, and she had very bad neighbors, one next to the house and one across the street. You know, I say that people were very nice in the village. They always welcomed me and always gave me a piece of bread, but sometimes that's... So I knew Lydia, and Lydia's name is in Jerusalem on the wall of righteous people. And I have another name also in the next village, where I was also spending quite a long time with my mother. And the orphans that accepted me in the village Gvozdyarnya, that was village Yasnograd. And now I'm in Monasterok, where the righteous Lydia Kononchuk kept us for a very long time. And after Lydia Kononchuk, we ended up in Gvozdyarnya. We also stayed with an orphan, 19-year-old, who was the only one with no relatives. She had a sister, but the sister was taken to Germany. Usually in such cases, when there are no relatives, but somebody won, they shouldn't have taken, but no one was speaking out, and this woman was left alone. So when I was going with my rounds from door to door, and she was also very poor and couldn't give me anything, but I knew that she was alone, so I said, maybe you can accept my mother to your attic. I said, yeah, because she needed us as much as we needed her. So we became a family. And her name is also in Jerusalem on the wall of righteous people.
You've had, I mean, your story, you have so many people, I mean, a good handful that were kind to you and gave you a piece of bread and didn't ask questions or housed you. But like you mentioned, right, there's still people that were anti-Semitic and you feared.
Yeah.
But
well, I don't know why, but people are anti-Semitic, but people loved me. People loved me. Everyone, maybe.
Well, you were pretty cute kid. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe because I was speaking Ukrainian better than Ukrainians in the villages. I could compete with the best teachers in Ukrainian. I don't know how it came to me, but this is what was real.
Well, we're here on Yom Hashoah, a day of remembrance and solemn reflection. And, as Sophie mentioned in your introduction, and as we'll talk to Ina as well, you didn't talk a lot about your story, and the people around you didn't. So why do you share your story now? Why is it important to you?
Everything in this world has a proper time that it offers to mankind worldwide very important things to know and to learn from. So I am sure, and more than sure, that that was not the time. Because even those people who lived in Jewish homes, I remember I entered once in my shtetl, a Jewish home where Ukrainian people lived. They never mentioned, I was a few hours spending in this house, talking. Not once, not in any way, was the woman talking about what had happened. And she lived in a Jewish home, used the Jewish possessions, and everything was okay, normal, nothing wrong. So
This was after the war, and this was
after the war, yes. So I'm saying that everything in this world has its proper time. Otherwise, it wouldn't work, probably. This is how I feel, and I know this for a reason,
Well, the final painting that we have up on stage is called The Living Faces of the Dead. And in the video and in our talk right now, you've mentioned that you lost over 40 members of your family to the Holocaust.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was wondering, how do you like to remember your relatives?
How do I what?
How do you like to remember your relatives? How do you like to think of them now?
I remember not only my relatives, I remember every human being that the life was taken from. No one gave the life who took. And no one has the rights to do, because that person is not going to be coming if we believe that Moshiach will come and all the dead people will resurrect, will come back. If we believe, people want to believe in something that would be very pleasant and fitting to our wishes, So I remember everyone, and not I remember, as I mentioned before, I see everything. And I know how we celebrated holidays. I remember how my family made for me, from silk, a bag for Hanukkah geld. We have a holiday in the very end of the year, that this year it fell together with Christmas, I believe, this year. And I would proudly put on this bag, silk, very nice bag, and go from one relative to the other, not begging for money, but it's a custom. It's everyone likes it, and everyone was looking to this, because everyone has family, children, or neighbors' children. So it was very memorably in my how I see the past.
Molka, you're talking about really fond memories of your past, and I think that's a really beautiful way to remember those who have died.
I always look back. I live with this. I know I shouldn't look back, because back is very bloody. Taken away only from me, close to 40 people. Millions, and when I hear the number 6 million, I doubt it. It's much more. Why do I say this? I have the reason to say, in my shtetl and around that area, no archives left. How do you know how many? It's only a guess. So I have a special book made by people of Romanov, and they have all the name perished, but it's not everyone. It's not, no. So I wouldn't I'm not happy when I hear this number 6 million. I think it's much more. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Malka. I mean, it's so powerful to hear you and we all be witness to your story. The final minutes remaining on stage, I would love to turn to Ina, Malka's daughter, and ask you a few questions about being a descendant of a Holocaust survivor, of your mother being Malka. And so I guess the first question, and often I think descendants get asked this question, is when did you realize that Malka was a Holocaust survivor?
First of all, I would like to say full disclosure. This is the first time that I'm answering questions as a child of a Holocaust survivor. It's a very sensitive subject and very personal subject, and I'm a little bit nervous, well, a lot nervous. And I don't know how this is going to unfold, but we'll go back to your question.
Yes.
So when did I find out about the fact that my mother was a Holocaust survivor? Well, I have to go back to my childhood. I was born in the former Soviet Union, and we left when I was a teenager. So when I was growing up, everyone knew about the war. Everyone knew the Germans invaded Russia. And we were taught that in school. Books were written, monuments were built. And I knew that my mother obviously lived through the war. You know, millions of Ukrainians and Russians lived through the war. What I didn't know is that she was a Holocaust survivor. I found out that she was a Holocaust survivor much later in life, about, give or take, 15 years after we arrived to Canada, when my mother joined Holocaust Survivors Group and was involved in a Gesher project. That's about around that time that she started talking about her experience and survival, and she never stopped. But I don't know whether people can understand this, but even though I didn't know that she was a Holocaust survivor, I felt it. I don't know how to explain it, but I felt as a child that something was off. Until I learned later that my mother was a Holocaust survivor, and then things started to make sense. But you know, understanding or trying to understand and to feel are not the same things. And so on intellectual level, I understood the trauma that my mother lived with all her life. But on emotional level, well, that's a different story. And you know, our emotions and intellect are not always aligned and are in harmony. And so, how do you reconcile that discrepancy? Well, that is complicated.
Well, I think you hit on a very, very unique theme about feeling that trauma without maybe having the words to describe it or to understand it. I know that there's a lot of descendants of Holocaust survivors in the room, and each of your experiences are so deeply personal, right? You don't have the same survivor in your family, or maybe you do and you still have a different experience, but yet it's similar, and I think that a lot of people will relate to what you just said. How did your mother's experience impact your life and throughout your life? Do you have any examples?
Well, I don't know whether I can think of examples right now, but I will say that it had a profound effect on my life, every aspect of my life, and still has that impact. And I think probably will continue to have it till the end of my days. You know, I think that I haven't done research. That's just my own sort of thinking that I think many Holocaust survivors suffer from PTSD. And in the olden days, we didn't know much about it. We know more now, or at least we think we do. And we know that it affects an individual, but it affects not just an individual. It affects people who are the closest to the individual, like children, grandchildren, spouses, siblings, the family. And, being a child of a Holocaust survivor, well, what can I say? It's not a walk in the park, that's for sure. I would describe it more like walking on a bumpy road with many obstructions. And you have to work harder, and it takes longer to get to your destination. And, I didn't choose to be a child of a Holocaust survivor. It chose me. And so you have to do the best you can with what you have to work with. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Well, Sophie introduced us tonight, and you have other family members here. As a mother of two, how did you introduce it, or how did you talk about the Holocaust with your kids?
Well, it was very different with our kids. We have two kids, Sophie, that you met today, and it was a beautiful introduction, Sophie, thank you. And we have a son, Solomon. He's watching probably tonight, long distance. So by the time our children were born, my mother was well on the way of talking about her story, and started to work on her project, that is to tell her story in paintings, and they're here tonight. And she started writing bits and pieces of her memoir. So talking about her project and her Holocaust experience was not unusual in our household. And so children were present. And also my husband, Mark, who is here tonight, and I felt that if very young, innocent children could live through the horrors of the Holocaust, our children were not too young to learn about it. And so they knew that their grandmother was a Holocaust survivor from a very young age.
Well, I have a final question for you, similar to the final question I had for Molka. Today is a special day of commemoration and reflection. You also lost family members in the Holocaust. What is the impact of a day like this on you?
Well, I feel sadness and a sense of loss. Personal loss, because we lost so many family members. And collective loss, because we lost 6 million. And on a day like today, on Yom Hashoah, we remember those who we lost, but we also would like to express our admiration to those who survived, like my mother and many survivors in this room. And to express our admiration, or to express that we admire your resilience, your tenacity, your commitment. We thank you for your heartbreaking stories of survival, all of you who shared them, and your commitment to educating the public about Holocaust. So, thank you to all the survivors, and thanks, Mom, for your stories.
Well, how powerful that was. Thank you both, Molka and Ina. Thank you all for listening. I just want to, before we actually bring back up Hannah and Mayor Ken Sims to read the proclamation, of Yom HaShoah. I just want to remind you that there are all of the paintings, the 19 of them that Malka helped commission to tell her story are here. So as on your way out, please take a look at them, and then please grab a free copy or two. Maybe you have a friend that wants to read as well. They are published by the Azraeli Foundation, a dear partner of ours. So once again, thank you, Malka, thank you, Ina, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks.
Wow. Wow, thank you again for such a meaningful evening. I feel teary standing up here, but thank you so much, Mayor Sim, for being with us tonight. And Mayor Sim is going to help us read a proclamation from the city.
Before we start, can I just say it was an honor to be able to be here today and bear witness to Malka and Ina's, your family story. And, you know, we live in a time where it feels like history's being erased. And moments like this are so profound and mean so much. So thank you. What we get to do today is read a little proclamation from the city of Vancouver. Yom HaShoah Holocaust Remembrance Day. Whereas Yom HaShoah is a day of remembrance commemorating the lives and the heroism of the 6 million Jewish people who were murdered in the Holocaust between 1933 and 1945. Yom HaShoah means the day of remembrance, the Holocaust, and the heroism.
And whereas Israel's Knesset established Yom HaShoah, also known as Holocaust Remembrance Day, as a memorial to the 6 million Jewish people who were slaughtered by the Nazis between 1933 and 1945. It is observed on the 27th day of the month of Nisan, the first month of the ecclesiastical year in the Jewish calendar month. And whereas we join with the Vancouver Holocaust Education Center and Vancouver's Jewish community on this annual day to commemorate and honor the victims and survivors of the Nazi era, and to reaffirm our commitment to stand against anti-Semitism, racism, hatred, and discrimination in all its forms.
Now, therefore, I, Ken Sim, the Mayor of the City of Vancouver, on behalf of all of our elected officials and everyone who chooses to work at the City of Vancouver, do very humbly proclaim April 14th, 2026 as Yom HaShoah Holocaust Remembrance Day in the City of Vancouver.
shining of the sun and in the warmth of summer, at the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the fall, at the start of the year, and again at its end. We think of family, we think of our friends, we remember them, we remember them. For as long as we live, they too shall live. For they are a part of us, they'll always be a part of us as we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joy we crave to share, we remember how much they care. When we have decisions we have to make, they help us think of what's at stake. When we are seeking comfort and love, they still embrace us from above. For they are part of us, they'll always be a part of us
Please rise and join us in Zognit Kain Mol, the partisan song and our closing piece for tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight, and be safe.